So I could do my new player meeting spiel.
That's always good. Nobody's heard it this year. Too soon?
No, I don't. I'm a little bit worried that I can't do it anymore.
All right, okay. Surely you've got it written down.
No, we're consummate professionals and we wing it every time.
Right, give me a second. I'll pretend I'm a new player. Please, miss, what is an egregore?
So what we say is we point out that there's non-player characters, and we explain that non-player characters are people who play a character on the field but are members of Profound Decisions crew.
Okay.
And that every nation has at least one egregore, because every nation does have more than one, but they drop in and out sometimes.
Yeah.
And we describe them, we emphasise that they're not faction leaders. They're more like Uncle Sam or Britannia.
Right.
They embody the spirit of the nation and represent the spirit of the nation, but aren't in charge of the nation. And that they're members of the player support team, and their role is to help players enjoy the game and get involved in the game. And then usually they heckle and jeer me from behind.
They got no respect. That's the problem. So I actually went and had a look at what we say on the wiki, because, as we all know, it is the font of all knowledge. And I was irrationally angered by the fact that the page on Egregores is entitled Egregores instead of Egregore, because that's very bad wiki design. So let me just see what they say. First point of contact for players in each nation. Is that true?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, cool. They're the people you go to if you're having a problem. Is that right?
They're the person you should go to if you're having a problem getting involved in the game, definitely.
Right, cool. Yeah.
And also, they're a good person to go to if you don't know who to go to, because they can point you in the right direction.
Get players involved in the plot and in the politics of the nation. A source of plot in the nation. Plot writers provide egregore briefs with their plots if there's something in a plot that an egregore can know about, or a hook that they can use to get other people involved. Everybody, they used to get packs. I don't know if they still do. Do you still print out the egregore briefs?
Yes, we do.
Okay, cool. Encourage the players to maintain the visual and thematic identity of each nation. And are the radio operator in each camp? I think that's another thing a lot of people who haven't read the wiki aren't aware of, that the egregores have all got radio access in case of emergencies and the like.
They are all on radio.
And
And so we can track them down.
Well, yeah, okay, that is fair. Some of them are able to referee bindings and rituals. Not all of them. How many of them do you know?
Probably about a quarter of them do.
Right.
So we're a bit. It depends how busy the nation is, and because we have multiple egregores in each nation, so sometimes we might have somebody missing an event or not. So they'll pick up the tablets depending on how busy they are, how good the Wi-Fi is.
Yeah. Well, I know we've got. I know we had a problem. I say, should we be talking about negative stuff? I know we had a problem early on. That there was a perception in some players that egregores were refs, that they were out of character. It's one of the reasons we have a 9 in the egregore section, talking about respecting the fact that they are characters who are in character. Not.
I think there's a danger with any NPC on the field that people will see them as a member of PD crew first and a character second.
They can open the Sentinel Gate to let armies go through. That is a massive piece of flange that we spent like 5 minutes coming up with to explain why nations go on battles rather than individual characters. I understand it's quite a fun piece of theatre.
Yes, I like it a lot. I like what the egregores do at the gate openings. What I really like is everybody going through the gate.
Yeah.
Because you really can see where one nation stops and another starts. I'm quite pleased that we've got our thematic identities working so well.
Yeah, which again is part of the egregores as well. They're not going to stun gun you for wearing the wrong sort of trousers, but they keep a bit of an eye on that visual and thematic identity stuff.
I think that must be one of the hardest parts of their job.
Yeah, I agree. It's never nice to be the person suggesting that perhaps your trousers are more suited to the league. And then we've got a bit at the bottom of the section about applying to become an egregore. Do you want to talk about that? About the fact that you can't, that we recruit. We don't. I don't think we've ever taken a volunteer, have we? From our existing players, I mean.
Sometimes people have suggested they might like to become an egregore.
Right.
Once I think we have promoted a player. Promoted is the wrong word. Once I think we have asked a player if they would like to become an egregore as their character. But that was a very sort of extenuating situation where we were looking to add to the egregore team in that nation, and the type of character we wanted to add matched somebody who was looking to retire.
What do you mean by type of character?
Well, we tried to split how the egregores work across the nation. So we tried to have a variation of archetypes and traditions, if you're Wintermark and things like that. So we were looking... I may as well name names, hadn't I? we were looking for somebody to fill the sort of spookier side of Rushka at the point where Tansy was wondering if she wanted to keep playing. And it seemed ridiculous to ask Tansy to stop playing her spooky character and create a new spooky character.
You said we picked the egregores earlier. Is it worth talking about the fact that actually it's just you?
Yeah, that was a royal we, wasn't it?
It was a bit of a royal we. Obviously, I think, if I remember right, because we were keen to get some egregores, we talked to a few people early on, and the very first crop of egregores, I think, was largely Matt.
Yeah, they weren't my fault.
No, that's not. Yeah, and then we've had a reasonably good retention record with the egregores we started off with.
I think we've done fantastically with them.
And then since then, it's been broadly you. Emotionally about your mates.
I usually do check with people that I haven't got a completely crazy idea, because I like to take chances on people now and then. So I usually do talk to people and make sure I'm not completely left field on it. I do like to talk to people about... If people are interested, I like to talk to them about the role. But by no means do we recruit everybody who expresses an interest.
Well, no. I'm not saying that expressing an interest is immediately a mark against you in my book, but it doesn't matter because I'm not the person who recruits egregores, but it's immediately a mark against you in my book.
If I say the next bit, you can cut it.
Okay, go on.
I feel that if they approach Matt first, they're definitely a mark against them.
How come?
Because that shows that they don't understand how the team works or what the role is.
Right, okay. Yeah, okay. Partly people wouldn't understand that, of course, because we haven't told them.
Yes.
Seems,
I'm harsh. I'm
that
harsh.
Seems a little perverse, but no, you are.
I'm harsh and unfair.
That is fairly true. So what have we talked about? We've talked about recruiting. We've talked about what they do. What sort of skills, actually? That's a good follow-on. What sort of skills are we looking for? Are you looking for?
It's hard to talk about it because it's so subjective. Because we always say in character that the spirit provides what the nation needs, and that is what we try and do out of character. If there's an area of the nation that we think needs a bit more support or a bit more encouragement, we will try and recruit an egregore to support that area, be it like an archetype or something like that. We'll try and bring an egregore in to boost that area. And when an egregore is outgoing, I try to make the incoming egregore different to them. Because I never want one of our egregores to be seen as X's replacement.
Yeah.
Because they're not. They're fulfilling the same job but in same role, different job.
Same job, different. Well, actually, it's a complicated one. I don't really know the difference. So, people person, because there's not much point having an egregore who can't.
Yeah, you've got to be prepared to deal with people. You've got to have enough ego to approach people as well.
Yeah, confidence is probably a better word than ego, I think.
Yes, yeah, confidence.
Enough confidence to approach people without the ego to try and take over.
Yes, there's a certain amount of common sense in knowing when to stop pushing somebody who doesn't want to be pushed any further forward.
There's a comment I think somebody made, which is that egregores are about amplifying player voices, not about shouting over them.
Yes, very much. I like to think it as their purpose is to remove sources of anxiety and worry.
Okay.
So if you have players who are worried about public speaking, you need to try and remove that worry for them so they're confident to public speak. Or if you have a player who wants to go on the battlefield that is worried, you try and find ways to support them to remove the thing they're worried about, so they can go off and blossom horribly.
When I was doing my research earlier, somebody described the good things about egregores as that they are a way of helping people who feel lost, out of their depth, or alone in a nation. That was quite sweet.
Yeah, if they're doing that, I'd be really happy. We should probably talk about how we make them all do some huge enforced meeting every morning.
Oh, the Saturday morning meeting. Yes, Empire is very much the game of big meetings for both the players and the crew. Do you want to what they tell us about them?
Yeah, so we have the Breakfast Club meeting at 9 o'clock on Saturdays and Sundays, where we have all the egregores and as many civil servants who are capable of attending, stood in a big circle, sometimes in the rain.
I want to jump in and say, capable of attending in this scenario means are not busy setting up for their in-character role rather than have overdone the gin and skittles the previous evening.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, because the Synod is a prime example. Yeah. They have to go and start voting pretty quick. So they usually appear, give a quick briefing and leg it, so they're ready for time in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we stand in a big circle in the rain with you, Matt, and Graham, and they give us a couple of pertinent points of what's been happening in their nations, and we have a chance to feed back anything we want them to know. And I like it because there's always a point where one of the nations will comment on something that's happening, and somebody else will very sheepishly say, "I think I can explain that."
I think they've been. I mean, we've been doing them now for quite a few years, I think. But I think they've really sort of hit the stride now that our plot team turn up them as well. It's really nice, sort of being able to facilitate that kind of first thing in the morning discussion. And it gives us a chance to see when things. Oh, sorry. It gives us a chance to see where things might not be hitting the way the plot writers think they will. Yeah.
So we can respond faster.
Yes, it's often our only sort of organised opportunity to touch base with the egregores, who are our main, I think, eyes and ears on the field in the nations, because the civil service are very much in their own area of the game. The egregores are the people who are out there on the field talking to the players all the time, and it's really, I find it really useful to get their feedback in those meetings. Yeah,
because the civil service have specialist areas that they deal with, and that's the situation they deal with the players in, whereas the egregores get told everything.
You know,
whether they want to hear it or not.
It's only just gelled with me why it is that the hoodies some of the egregores wear have got a quote from the Breakfast Club on the back now, with you mentioning earlier that it's the Breakfast Club. I was thinking, oh yeah, because it takes place at breakfast time, doesn't it?
Yeah,
anyway,
and
that's me.
They all used to sing on the radio before we got there.
Sing what?
Don't you forget about me.
How does that go?
No, I'm not being drawn into that.
Do you think egregores have worked?
Yes, I think. It's interesting that you said that there was originally planned to be 2 of them. Because that was obvious.
Interestingly, one of the reasons
start doing it until a couple of years in.
Obviously when we started off, one of the reasons we had 2 wasn't so much that we were worried about the workload, because I'm not sure we were even thinking in those terms. It was so that people would have support available to them on the field, so they wouldn't be by themselves. There'd be another member of crew around who they could bounce off and and keep each other standing if it started to get stressy. We don't often think
and
like that, but
of course we only started with one though, didn't we? In each nation.
did we definitely only have one in each nation? Yeah, because like I said, we went through our list, and way too many of the people we wanted to try and get pairs of just ended up playing the game. I've got massive respect for the Egregores at that first event because, yes, I remember.
Oh, it was blind. They didn't know what we were going into, did we? We didn't know what we created.
Who was it we had in? Who was it we had in Wintermark? It was
Bunny.
James Fishwick. Yeah,
It was Bunny.
it was Bunny. Right, sorry, I said James Fishwick. I'm like anyway. Bunny.
That's the same
Bunny.
person.
So leave it. Yeah, oh, right. Okay, fine. Yes. Who turns up to discover, presumably that they had like 600 players, or however many ridiculous number of people it was in Wintermark. Yes, that makes me chuckle. And then, am I remembering, did Bunny die in the battle at the first event?
Yes.
Yeah. So there you go. Funny anecdotes.
Yeah, of course it's obvious. It's because not even do they need somebody else with them for support from a crew point of view, but not everybody likes everybody. So we need to give players the opportunity to have somebody else to go to.
Another thing I think is possibly worth mentioning, you just reminded me of one. It's like the way the league is sort of split between an upstanding egregore and a slightly more dubious egregore. Although I think they sort of pass that role back and forth between them from time to time.
I have 3 now.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
So
I couldn't tell you minute to minute which one's the dubious one.
But the point, it plays back to that amplification thing. We want the egregores to kind of be on the side of the nation. So we talk a lot about things like if a nation is angry with another nation or is sticking to their guns over something that it would be easier for them to compromise on. We are often there cheerleading the egregores to cheerlead the players who aren't compromising, who are sticking to their guns, who are sticking 2 fingers up to the rest of the empire, to support those players and encourage them to do that, because conflict builds character.
Yeah, I think there's a common misconception that the egregores support law.
Yeah. And they do kind of, but their first thing that they're supporting is the core ideas of the nation that they're briefing, which is why, arguably, the Brass Coast was so keen on them in the first place. in character in the game, they're the biggest obstacle to a unified empire that we were able to put in.
What, the Brass Coast?
No, the Egregores, but yes, also the Brass Coast, but no, the Egregores. That their job is to, in a way, part of their job is to within the nation, help people to, as you say, feel less anxious about stuff, less worried about what they can do, but between nations, keep the nations distinct and encourage people to not compromise, basically.
Yeah, and encourage people to do the thing.
Do the thing,
as long as it's in the national interest.
That's another thing from your meeting.
One of my incoming egregores asked me where the line was.
Right.
I was like, what do you mean where the line is? And they were like, where's the line when have I gone too far? And when I thought about it, it was like, well, as long as you're doing something in the national interest and you've taken players with you, there is no too far. You disagree there, don't you?
I think if you weren't hand-picking the egregores for the right kinds of skills, I'd be more worried about that kind of briefing. We don't disagree on the fundamentals. I emphasise more as long as players are doing something, you going along with them isn't a problem.
Yeah, and it's in the it's in a national manner.
Yeah. But it's 6 of one and 2 3s of another. So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else we want to talk about before we do this. We're planning to do some more of these. If you've got any suggestions for stuff that you'd like Clare and Andy in the morning to talk about, drop them in the comments below. I've seen a lot of YouTubers do that, you see. Drop me the comments below. Maybe throw us a
You're
like
meant to
and a
say
subscribe.
like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah, I'm not professional enough. I've spent all my brain power prior to this meeting reading up on Egregores and practicing that Clare and Andy in the morning jingle.
I might have been singing it in the van a bit today.
Anybody who doesn't watch popular sitcom Community has no idea why we keep saying Clare and Andy in the morning and laughing. So, anyway, which one of us is Abed?
I'd like to think that we're both Troy.
No, I can't see that myself.
But I suspect neither of us are cool enough.
I suspect we're sadly both Britta, but
Oh.
anyway. I think I'm not sure how much we've actually managed to communicate that's useful or interesting there, but that is like half an hour or so. So I reckon that's probably a point for us to call an end. We can always come back to this later. If we hate the video, we can re-record it. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Yay. So I think what we need to finish up with is, have you got any final thoughts on Egregores in a sort of final thought?
What I should do is credit the team.
Yeah, okay.
Because all the Egregores across the time we've been running have put an incredible amount of hard work in to what, to be honest, is a very dubious job description we give them.
We still haven't managed to write up the actual powers of an Egregore. We're what, 8 years in?
Yes, and we almost can't predict what they'll face on the field.
No, that's true.
So they do an incredible job with a very dubious job description from us.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're not nation leaders is down to how good they are. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll disagree with you. Cool. In that case, I think what we need to do is one last mug shot. And then wave at the camera for 10 seconds so that I can cut it at a suitable point and end it there. Right, bye-bye.